2020 was a bad year for anime. Hell, it was a bad year in general. Some people claim that 2020 had no good anime, but that's just ridiculous. It had 3 good anime. 2021, on the other hand, banger after banger after banger. And this is just the first season. This winter season is stacked with both long-awaited sequels and very promising newcomers. Instead of following the usual pattern where I talk about a sequel and you skip that part because you didn't watch the prequel, I'll actually go over the entire series instead. With that being said, let's just fucking begin. I have a feeling this is gonna be a long one. This season we have been blessed with the holy trinity of good isekai. First we have the return of That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, in which this normal dude gets stabbed and with his dying breath asks someone to delete his browser history, immediately foreshadowing that this guy has his priorities straight. When he wakes up, he finds himself reborn as a slime, a typically very weak monster. He's no ordinary slime though, as he has the ability to utilize any ability or attribute of anything he absorbs into his body, reborn into this new form with infinite potential. The first thing he does after being stuck in a cave without the Flash HM and chilling with his tsundere dragon friend is to re-establish the West Roman Empire. I've never seen a man with priorities this straight. If you are the type of person who likes light-hearted international political and economical relationship simulations with a dash of power fantasy, then I have good news for you, buddy. Secondly, we have Jobless Reincarnation, which is yet another show about this NEET in his 30s who gets hit by a truck and gets reincarnated into a different world. Most isekai are nothing but blatant escapism, in which a loser gets transported to a new world, is gifted with tremendous talent and a harem full of cute girls who are completely loyal to him. For some apparent reason, with the sole purpose of making people feel like that could happen to you too. In this show, he's reincarnated with all of his memories intact, including all the bad memories. This show understands that people don't have issues because they are degenerates, but that people become degenerates because of their issues, and that simply transporting you to a new world won't magically fix all of those issues. This guy is blessed with power, but it's entirely useless to him. He doesn't need to save the world or defeat the Demon King. He has to fight his own demons, his own traumas. When he does that, then and only then will he be able to start over from square one. No, from zero. Of course, we have the return of ReZero, which is probably the second best isekai ever made. What makes ReZero so special is that he didn't die. Yet. No trucks, no trains, no shanking, he just spawns. Finally some real originality in the isekai sphere. If the slime anime is like the city skylines of isekai, then ReZero is like the Dark Souls of isekai. Not just a normal playthrough though. It's more like a no leveling, no hit full trilogy speedrun, where most isekai protagonists are born with some kind of unfair advantage. You know, tremendous power, unrivaled intelligence, a mom. Subaru has to get by with nothing but the plastic bag of chips, cup noodles and his phone he had on him when being transported. Pretty much confirming that this show is just in another world with my flip phone. A ripoff of the actual best isekai ever made. Subaru is just an ordinary dude, who now suddenly gets thrown into this magical world where he has to face off against thugs, religious cults, flying Moby Dick, and cannibalistic traps. Just like you wouldn't expect a first-time Dark Souls player to beat the game first try, Subaru does not beat the game first try. Or the second, or the third, or the fourth. Just like in a game, Subaru possesses the ability to respawn. This means that after dying an ungodly amount of times, he does eventually figure out the patterns to beat the boss every single time. However, even if he doesn't actually die when he gets killed, he does feel the excruciating pain of dying every single time. This endless cycle of death and suffering slowly changes him and makes for a very interesting storyline. Redo of Healer is the third most popular new anime this season, but I initially had no plans to watch it whatsoever, because it isn't even rated 7 on my anime list, and we all know the average my anime list user has never rated anything less than an 8. However, a bunch of people were talking about this show, so I decided to say, fuck it, I'll give it a shot. And guess what? Guess fucking what? It's a fucking hentai! Guys, I thought we were better than this. Basically, this show is about this guy called Keyaru, who is the hero of recovery. Normally you would expect a hero to be a respected person with a bunch of bitches on his dick, but this guy is actually the bitch on someone's dick. tortured, molested, abused, you name it. If there was such a thing as a bingo card for traumatic events, this guy won a long time ago. One day he gets the opportunity to go back in time and uses this opportunity to get revenge on everyone who wronged him. This show is basically just the Rise of the Shield hero on steroids. At the first opportunity he gets, he goes full Kaneki, fucking breaks all of her fingers, rapes her, takes away her memories, and have her live the rest of her life as a peasant. And this is just episode 2. What the fuck is next? Genocide? I think I finally understand how the Rent-A-Girlfriend fandom feels. It's fucking terrible and it hurts to watch, but I have to know what happens next. Guys, don't judge me. Don't you fucking judge me. He cock-slapped her. He unironically cock-slapped her. Imagine it's your first ever anime voice acting role ever. And it's fucking this. If she doesn't win Voice Acting Performance of the Year in next year's Crunchyroll Anime Awards, dude, we're gonna have to have a little... Wait. Do you hear that? It's the Nino train, motherfuckers! Fuck Ichika. All my homies hate Ichika. Out the way, Miku, you beta piece of shit. We stand confident queens in this household. The Quintessential Quintuplets are back, and with it comes the most heated best girl debate this season. This show is not just your standard harem anime. What sets this show apart from its trashy counterparts is that this one actually has an ending. Even if not everyone was happy with that ending. That being said, with this many great characters and only one winner, any possible ending would have pissed a lot of people off. Just the fact that people were invested enough into the story for them to react the way they did says more than enough about the quality of the writing. This series has some great moments and character development that's almost uncharacteristic for a series of this genre. The first season, while not bad, unfortunately didn't manage to match the quality of the manga. At all. The second season seems to have significantly improved art-wise, but unfortunately enough resulted in a nerf to the thighs. As such is the law of equivalent exchange. You just can't have it all. 2.44, which is a terrible name by the way, is a new volleyball anime, and just because of that it was destined to be compared to Haikyuu, with many claiming it was a Haikyuu ripoff well before it started airing. After giving it a shot and watching the first episode, I can tell you for certain that this show is not a Haikyuu ripoff. While Haikyuu is a series known for its fantastic characters, attention to detail and memorable moments, 2.34 actually has none of that. Okay, I'm sorry. I take that back. I shouldn't have said that. The truth is, I didn't even finish the first episode. People often say that Slice of Life has no plot, or that nothing ever happens. If you know me, you know that I think that's a ridiculous statement, and that's just completely false. Except for Biyori, nothing actually happens in Biyori, but that's actually kind of the point. Biyori is not just a normal slice of life. It's a slice of life set in the bumfuck middle of nowhere, where there is nothing to do and nothing to see. This show takes place in rural Japan, where so few people live that they had to merge every single grade into one single class, and it still only has 5 students, 3 of which are siblings. Nothing happens in Biyori. It's just normal people living out their normal lives, and surprisingly enough, it's actually pretty good. This show is very charming and relaxing, and the way it's directed almost makes it feel therapeutic in a way. If you are the kind of person who watches anime to relieve stress, this might just be the show for you. Coincidentally, if you are the kind of person who is suffering from insomnia, this is also the perfect anime for you. X-Arm was at one point the lowest rated anime on my anime list ever. That's it. That's all I wanted to say. Dr. Stone is set in a world where someone simultaneously plugged in a Razer keyboard and mouse at the same time, resulting in this bright green light engulfing the entire world. This light turns every single person on Earth into stone for 3,700 years, more than long enough for most traces of humanity to disappear. All is good in the world, and nature is healing. Until one day this fucking nerd who likes to read books breaks free from his stone cage and goes around ruining everything. He then proceeds to use his seemingly infinite pool of knowledge to re-establish society and bring it back to its glory days. It's honestly really cool to see how he starts off with nothing and step by step makes his way up to harnessing the power of electricity. From what I've heard, for the most part everything he does in the show is scientifically correct. and I think that's just really cool. Horimiya is one of those rare rom-coms that's just genuinely really good. A show like this lives and dies by the quality of its characters. It's the way these characters interact and their word choices that can really turn any ordinary scene into an enjoyable one. Horimiya looks good, sounds good, has likable characters and great interactions. Absolutely nothing to complain about. It isn't very often we get to see a romance anime rated this highly. Just like Dr. Stone, the Promised Neverland is an anime adaptation of one of the most popular recent Shonen Jump titles. Enough said. Every single prominent Shonen Jump adaptation in the last couple of years has been incredible. Be honest, can you name any bad recent Shonen Jump anime? Except for Black Clover. Or The Seven Deadly Sins. Or Food Wars. Or The Promised Neverland is one of those shows that's honestly best when going in blind, so I don't want to say too much. Wonder Egg Priority is my favorite new anime this season. If this anime came out last year, it would have easily been my anime of the year. This is the third Cloverworks production this season alone, and all of them are great. Cloverworks hasn't made a single bad anime ever since they were founded back in 2018, when they split from their parent company, A1 Pictures. The plot of Wonder Egg Priority is kind of hard to explain, but if I had to, I'd say this show is like a Kyoto Animation feeling take on the Monogatari series, with a dash of Madoka, maybe? When I say Monogatari, I don't mean as in the incredibly confusing dialogue, but as in helping people cope and get over their emotional traumas that materialize into a supernatural way. I told you it's hard to explain. Skate with an infinity sign because Skate with an 8 wouldn't have been hip and cool enough. It's basically just Sonic Riders the anime. I can't skate, but I always thought it looked cool, and this anime looks fucking cool, alright? I don't have much to say, to be honest. If an Initial D style underground skateboarding scene with animation this good doesn't excite you, then you should probably go see a doctor. Cause you might just be dead. Back in 2013, one anime took the world by storm, gained mainstream attention and converted a never before seen amount of people into weebdom. I'm of course talking about Attack on Titan. Many great anime came before, and many were still sure to come, but nothing ever came close to the reach this show had. Attack on Titan grabbed everyone's attention with its interesting premise, memorable music, and fantastic animation, and refused to let go. The hype was real, people craving more, and many eagerly awaiting its sequel. But that sequel didn't come. 4 years. 4 whole years to make a sequel only half the length of season 1. In these 4 years, the general opinion on Attack on Titan suffered a severe setback, with more than enough time for the hype to die down and people to start second guessing themselves. The general opinion of Attack on Titan slowly shifted from the best thing ever to nothing more than hollow spectacle. It's for this exact reason that I can confidently say that Attack on Titan, the most hyped up anime of all time, ended up being the most underrated anime of all time. Attack on Titan was always good, but it only got better over time. The more information you receive and the more pieces of the puzzle you get, the better the story becomes, all slowly coming together and culminating into this one moment from season 3 part 2. Everything from that point onward has been nothing but spectacular, and managed to make everything that came before more meaningful, making Attack on Titan almost infinitely rewatchable. There's always something you missed, something you looked over, something you couldn't piece together at the time but is completely obvious to you now. Attack on Titan is a masterclass in world building, writing, storytelling, foreshadowing, attention to detail, animation, music, and many more. I'm telling you, if you are not watching Attack on Titan right now, you are doing yourself a disservice and you will regret not being a part of it, as the history books are being written right in front of us. It's pretty decent, I guess. There are a lot of other good shows this season that I would like to talk about, but this video is already pretty late and I don't have time for that right now, unfortunately. Let me know what is your favorite anime this season. Did I mention it? Did I miss it? Thanks again to Tizzy, the Card Turner, and Martijn for supporting me on Patreon this month. Making videos like this takes a long time and I barely get anything in return. If you like the work I do, consider joining me on Patreon, where for just $1 a month you can double the amount of money I make per video. While you're at it, you should follow me on Twitter, where I will never tweet ever again. It's free though.